Hello again, everyone, and good morning. This is week 6, and at the end of this week, you should have 6 pages of bell work. All right, let's take a look here. We have a test. It's either going to be Wednesday or Thursday. I haven't decided yet. I'll let you know by tomorrow. Anyway, let's take a look at some of these. The end center is the angle bisector, C. The centroid is the median, B. The circumcenter is dealing with the perpendicular bisector, is the circumcenter. And then finally the orthocenter was the last one we learned, and that is the altitude. Okay? And there they are. What are numbers 1 through 4 called? They're called concurrent points. They all hit at the same point. They're called concurrent. They are concurrent points, like the great storm. Okay, put away your bell work. You will have the quadratic equation as part of your work on your test on Wednesday or Thursday. So let's take a look at it. First of all, I want you to memorize this equation. Okay, x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. I want you to write it down 5 times tonight. Okay, that's part of your homework. Let's take a look here. Well, what you really need to know is this equation right here. ax squared plus bx plus c. So copy that down. And you notice how this is the x squared, so the number in front is your a. This is just the b to the first power. So the number in front of the x squared, or x to the first power rather, is your b. And the number by itself is your c. Sometimes you don't have a number, so you put 0. But let's take a look here. So write it down just like this. Put x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all divided by 2a. I want you to say it as you write that down. Well, here's your x squared, so the number in front of that is a 1. So it's going to be 1 there, 10 here for b. So a, b, and c is 9. So it's going to be x equals negative b, so it's going to be negative 10 plus or minus b squared minus 4 times a times c all divided by 2 times a. That's what you should have right there. Okay, let me make it just a little bit larger so we can zoom in. Okay, so at this point, you're going to have negative 10 plus or minus the square root. 10 times 10 is 100 minus 36 right here. And then 2 times 1 is 2. So you're going to get negative 10 plus or minus the square root. This is 64, and the square root of 64 is 8. So you're going to get negative 10 plus 8 divided by 2. That's this one. And then we're going to do the minus. Negative 10 minus 8 divided by 2. And so those are going to be your two answers. This is going to be a negative 2 divided by 2, which is a negative 1. This is going to be a negative 18 divided by 2, which is a negative 9. And there it is. That's the quadratic equation. And if you practice it, you will master it. Okay? So remember, I want you to write the quadratic equation 5 times tonight. It'd be a good idea to rework some of these. Let's take a look at the next one. It has to be equal to 0. So the first thing you want to do is move that positive 4. So put 5x squared minus 8x minus 4 equals 0. Now I want you to identify the a, b, and c. So do that right now. All right, so a, b, and c. Now plug it into your equation. But I want you to write the equation as negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all divided by 2 times a. If you do that, you have less chance of a mistake. So put x equals. All right, so it's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all divided by 2 times a. I think that should work. This is a double negative, so that's going to be 8 plus or minus the square root of 64, negative times a negative. This is a double negative, okay? So that's going to be, let me think here a minute. That's going to be 20 times 4, I guess, is 80. So put plus 80. Okay, double negative. and then over 10. Now just keep in mind, if this ended up being the square root of a negative number, then you would not be able to do it. But this is a positive, and I think that's 144. So it's going to be 8 plus or minus the square root of 144 divided by 10. So your answers are going to be this. It's going to be 8 plus the square root of 144 is 12, and divided by 10. And then the minus is your other answer. So it's going to be 8 minus 12 divided by 10. So this is going to be 20 divided by 10 is 2. And then this one is going to be a negative 4, I think it is. Let me think. Yeah, negative 4 divided by 10, which is a negative 2 over 5. You can reduce it by 2. These are your two answers, and that's how you do the quadratic equation. Let's take a look now at today's work. In addition to the quadratic equation, if you can't be with us today, here's today's worksheet, and you can pause it. You can email me, and I'll send you a copy. I'll scan it and send it to you. Let's take a look and see what's going on here. Okay, here's your quadratic equations. Okay, remember to identify the A, B, and C. Now let's take a look here. I don't think this worksheet had any answers, unfortunately, so we'll just have to work some of these. Let's take a look. It says the Hinge theorem. Now for us, it was 5.5. So scratch that out, put 5.5. And you're looking for two sides equal to two sides. Well, this is reflexive. AC is congruent to itself by reflexive property. Write that down so you know, okay? So we have these two sides equal to those two sides. And since 10 is bigger than 7, this angle here, angle 1, would be greater. So the measure of angle 1 is greater than the measure of angle 2. Remember, the bigger the side, the bigger the angle. So 10 is bigger than 7. So therefore, angle 1 is bigger than 2. Okay, you can't go by the diagram. Let's take a look at another one here. Let's jump down to this one right here. Notice they want you to compare this and this. So you might want to circle what they want you to compare. Okay, you see how these two angles are equal? That makes this side equal to this side. So we have side, angle, side, side, angle, side. And 4 is bigger. So this side right here, let me think here. Oh, we're comparing these two. 6 is bigger, sorry. So angle 4 is greater than angle 3. Now look, when you turn this in, I want to see some work on your diagram. Okay, if I don't see any work and I just see answers, I'm not giving it to you. Let's take a look at one more. Let me think here. All right, look at this one right here, number 9. Okay, you see how it has side, angle, side, side, angle, side. Okay, so we're good. 70 is bigger than 87. What am I thinking? 87 is bigger than 70. So that side right there. So KP is bigger than that one. Okay, so KP is the bigger side because it's across from the bigger angle. All right. All right, let's flip this thing over and take a look at some of these. All right, let's take a look at this one right here. Okay, notice how we have the reflexive property there. So we have side, angle, side, side, angle, side. 110 is bigger. So you're going to put this. 5x minus 7 is greater than 28. Draw your line. You're going to add 7 and get 35. So 5x is greater than 35. Then you're going to divide by 5 and you're going to get x is greater than 7. That's your answer. Now keep in mind that if you divide by a negative number, like if you had negative 2x is greater than 10 and you have to divide by negative 2, as soon as you divide by negative 2, you got to change that sign. Okay, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, write that down. Multiply or divide by a negative number, you change the direction of the inequality. So change inequality. Change direction. Okay, that's a rule. Make sure you know that. All right, that's it. That's all we're doing today. Tomorrow you have your practice test, and your test will be either Wednesday or Thursday. Have a good morning.